Um, this week, out of nowhere, Mayor Paula Hicks Hudson calls a press conference at 4 o'clock, where, in my opinion, she doesn't really state much information. But with all this increased amount of pressure after a no confidence vote, she says everything's going to stay status quo. She believes in the chief, or through his years of experience. What was your initial thought? What's going through? What's your response to her 4 o'clock press conference?
Well, we'll go back a few days.
Okay.
The previous Friday, we sat down with the mayor, and we wanted to make sure she had all the information in front of her. We gave her the packet of no confidence that we were presenting to City Council and others regarding the decisions that the chief had made, which we believe has just jeopardized our own safety and the safety of the public. There are countless management decisions and approaches that he has used that we are not fond of.
The Toledo Blade would like to paint this as an epic pissing match between yourself and Chief Santiago. That this is somehow a vendetta. A hit, I believe, was described in Friday's paper by the columnist, that you have a hit on Chief Santiago. Is that fair?
That's not fair. I personally don't have any ill feelings towards the director. However, when it comes to our safety, the local is going to continue to speak out loudly because our lives matter. And in our documentation, we brought up things that I don't know how we get past. Chief Santiago wants to just put everything behind and move forward. And when you look at the dropping of the buildings on a crew at Nines back in 2007 with a horrible decision, even against the safety officer's direction,
Right.
it leads to a lack of no confidence in his leadership. When you look at how he handled the bombings and the shootings in 2011, it leads to a lack of confidence. The body has no confidence in his abilities to lead because he has made such poor decisions when it comes to our safety.
Was there a final straw before you held a meeting to take a vote?
Final straw?
Before you organized, was it the report?
We did not organize the vote. The local did not organize the vote, at least not the union, the president, the vice president, and the e-board. This vote of no confidence came from the body. I had...
And when you say the body, you mean firefighters?
The firefighters.
Okay.
The men and women out there every day that are putting their lives on the line through, I believe it was 59 signatures on my desk and a petition. It was very clear on the statement. They wanted to hold 2 meetings, and those meetings were going to be held and have a vote of no confidence in the fire chief. And according to our Constitution and bylaws, if I get 10% of the body present a petition to me in that order, I have to have the vote. And that's what we did. It wasn't the union president, Jeff Romstadt, calling for the vote. It was the body that called for the vote.
Okay. Chief Santiago recently in media said you don't know before that vote took place how the firefighters were prepped. I know it's a closed door, private meeting amongst an organization. Was there anything said before? Did people speak? I mean, can you speak on that?
People had the right to speak in favor of the chief at that meeting, those 2 meetings, in favor of the chief and against the chief. At the one meeting, there was a member that spoke in favor of the chief, and that's with regards to equipment and rigs that we were getting. And he was the only one, and the membership took his comments, and they actually, acknowledged them. And
was it hostile towards him?
No, the meeting wasn't hostile towards that member that was supportive of the chief.
So
absolutely not.
There was no...
Every member has the right to speak their voice,
okay.
And that was going to happen.
And your turnout for this vote, so you decide after these meetings, they present their information, people can freely speak, it's time to take a vote.
It was time to take the vote, but one of the points probably more important to speak about first is the chief had his own town hall meetings prior to the vote that Local 92 was going to have. the chief scheduled meetings down at headquarters, 2 separate days. I believe it was Tuesday the 12th and Wednesday the 13th. Most of the executive board was out of town on union business for both those days. He had signed union release for us. He believes he didn't know that we were on, even though he did sign it, and he may have forgot.
Okay.
But I came back early on Wednesday to attend the meeting to make sure, to see what was going on, what was being said. I think the body, even in those meetings, got a telltale sign of his management style.
He might have indirectly instigated his own.
Absolutely.
Why is it his style? What is it about him that seems, on top of the safety issues, is it a personality conflict? Is there a way that he manages? Because he looks really smooth on TV.
He has made multiple times made the statement, "I do not hold a grudge, but I don't forget." To me, to the executive board, to the negotiating team, and to others. As a matter of fact, early in my career as presidency, I was talking to the chief in a meeting about the safety of our dive team, because we were doing some things that we shouldn't be doing. The equipment was in a state of ill repair. We were repairing our own masks, our EXOs,
right,
which is our face pieces,
right,
that we're not certified to fix. But firefighters, the dive team over here at Fives, if they get a call, they're going to jump in the water. They need equipment, and if the city's not going to fix it, they're going to fix it themselves.
okay.
But that's a huge liability for the city, and I brought those things to their attention. And the next thing I know, that statement, that conversation morphs into, by the chief, to an arbitration that he was just about to lose or had lost. And he's screaming across the table at me, "That's a nail in your coffin. It's your hammer, it's your nail." And
This is the chief?
This is the chief.
The chief. So this is Chief Louis Santiago.
Chief Santiago's up out of his chair, over his desk, a nail in your coffin, pointing his finger and yelling, "It's a nail in your coffin, it's your hammer, and it's your nail."
Over dive mask.
Over an arbitration that he was about to lose, and the safety of our members. You know, I'm talking, the meeting started, and the meeting was about the safety of our membership. And it went horribly south.
And this is where he had to apologize. I actually
No.
I thought there was an affidavit somewhere in your 33 pages where he might
There
have.
is. That was another arbitration that the chief had lost.
Oh, so
But
okay.
On this particular case, I'm a person of reason, and I like to give people the opportunity to make wrong for their mistakes. Now, clearly, in my opinion, that comment should have never been made. So I gave the chief the opportunity to cool down a little bit and maybe apologize. And I saw him at a retiree's funeral, shook his hand, talked to him, but there was never an apology. So after about a week or 10 days, I had to put it on paper because of one reason. He wasn't threatening he was going to kill me, but he clearly was threatening my career was over. And it wasn't just me and him on a one-on-one. This was in a meeting with the deputy operations, Gary Martin, and a battalion chief or a captain at the time, Captain Kaminsky. So, you know, when we're talking about the safety of the membership of this department, there should never be a yelling and screaming match about our safety. We can have discussion, but it surely should never end up with a threat. And it did that day. And it had to be put on paper just to get him to acknowledge it, to sit down and talk. And in that conversation, it really wasn't an apology. It was a makeshift apology when I sat down and had coffee with him.
As this personality conflict's being played in the media, it's based off of these moments. Do you think that he has is it both ways? Is he having a vendetta against yourself?
I don't think he has a vendetta against me. It's just his management style. It's the person that he is. It's his management style of I'm right and you're wrong. And you know, it played out in 2007 when the safety officer said, "Don't send people in that building." Yet he didn't listen. When we came to him with our concerns about the elimination of the safety officer position, he just didn't listen. He refused to listen. It was going to be his way or the highway. And that's his management style.
But
And
Mayor Collins immediately put that position, I don't know if it's recreated, just.
Mayor Collins had the chief, in my opinion, bring back the 8-hour safety position in March of 2014, 2 months or less after the deaths of 2 of our brothers. And then in June of 14, the safety officer, dedicated, highly trained safety officer position was brought back. And under his old style of safety, his safety program, there was an 8-hour position, but that person was also not only in charge of safety, but he was also in charge of buildings. And we brought those things to the administration's light, and they just refused to listen to us. So if we would have not brought the safety officer issue and the probationary officers, or the probationary firefighters issues to light, we wouldn't have anything to complain about. But we saw these things and how dangerous they were, and we brought it to their attention, and they refused to listen. Then that's why we're screaming so loudly for our safety.
So take me through the night you go through the vote. What was the turnout for your vote for no confidence?
The vote was over 2 days.
Okay.
Because we work an A, B, and a C shift, the 3 shifts, everybody has to have the right to vote.
Right.
And we had more people vote in those 2 days than voted on the last contentious contract. We had 365 members come down here, sign the roster. Once you sign the roster, you get a ballot, and then you privately have the opportunity to go over to the ballot box, mark your ballot, and stick it in the box. And that's a locked box, and it was counted, and I was so proud of our membership for coming out and speaking their voice. Despite there are members out there that are afraid of retaliation under this administration, but yet they came out in very, very strong numbers, historical numbers, and voted no confidence in the chief. I thought maybe a 60-40 or 70-30 would have been enough. This vote was 87% to 13%. 319 people against Chief Santiago with no confidence in the chief, and only 46 having confidence.